All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are going to finish our book, and this will also be the end of our study of Harriet Tubman. It's also the end of our Civil War study. So we're going to read chapters 3 and 4, and again, look, it says reward, exclamation mark. So what do you think the reward is? What do you think that it's for? Think about that as we're going to start reading chapter 3 in Harriet Tubman and the Freedom Train. Once Harriet Tubman was free, she found a job to take care of herself. Then she spent all her free time learning more about the Underground Railroad. And that's why they're using this terminology, the Freedom Train, the Underground Railroad. Remember in this book they talked about her being a conductor and her passengers. But remember, it's not actually a railroad. Harriet heard many stories of slaves who were trying to escape and needed someone to guide them to the north. Suddenly, Harriet knew what she had to do. She would return to the South. She wanted to help as many slaves escape as possible. She wanted all slaves to be free. Why do you think that was so important to her? Why? I mean, she's got her freedom. So she could have just stopped with that, right? She could have just said, I'm free, and that's great, and I'm safe. Let's just leave well enough alone. So why do you think that it was so important to her to risk her life again and again and again to go back and help more people become free? Harriet's most daring escape was with 11 people. Harriet had never guided so large a group before. So we had 10 kids in our class plus me, so that's 11. So that would be like all of us being led by Harriet. That's the size of group that she had. As the group traveled, they could hear the bloodhounds barking behind them. As the dogs came nearer, Harriet searched for a place to hide, but where was a place large enough to hold all of them? Remember when she was younger, it said that she learned how to find places to hide, she learned how to find food, but it's one thing when you're hiding yourself or you and one or two other people. You might can find a small building or a bush or ditch or something, but you've got 11 people, so you need a much larger place. Suddenly, Harriet spied a huge pile of garbage. They jumped in the tower of garbage. Everyone breathed through straws and pipes. Soon the dogs lost the scent of the runaways. At daybreak, the runaways went to a stream. They cleaned up and rested so that they could travel that night. So here they are traveling at night. To travel at night because it's dark and people cannot see them. After that, Harriet Tubman became a legend. So what does that mean to be a legend? Means that she's very well known and well known for doing something good and positive. She made over 15 trips back to Maryland to rescue slaves. She was able to rescue many of her brothers and sisters. She was most proud of getting her parents to the North. She bought them a home in Auburn, New York. It was the first home her parents ever owned. But Southern slave owners were very angry. They were mad that Harriet was taking their property away from them. Because even though they were people, because they were slaves, the slave owners thought of them as their property, that they owned them. And so they thought of it as Harriet was stealing something from them. The slave owners got together and offered a $40,000 reward for anyone who could bring in Harriet, dead or alive, but no one ever found her. So that's why this chapter is titled Reward. See, they put a poster up. So reward means if you've lost something, if something's been stolen from you, sometimes people will put up a poster, or if there's a criminal that people are looking for, they'll put up a poster and say, if you find this person, I will give you money. So they said, I will give you $40,000 if you find her and bring her in, whether she's alive or dead, but no one ever did. Now that a reward was being offered for Harriet, she had to be more careful. Everywhere she went, people were looking for her. One time she was traveling on a train. She heard the bounty hunters storming through. She quickly picked up a newspaper, but she did not know how to read. She was holding the paper Was she holding the paper right side up? The bounty hunters had reached Harriet's car. She held her breath. They looked at everyone very carefully. Suddenly, she heard one of the men say, "No, that's not her. The one we're looking for can't read." Harriet slowly let out her breath as the men kept going through the train cars. So she tricked them. By holding up the newspaper, they thought that it wasn't her because they knew that Harriet couldn't read. So it was tricky. All right, chapter 4, Spy and Hero. In 1861, a war broke out between the North and the South. So that's what we have been talking about, the Civil War. We've been talking about, you guys have made your posters, the North and the South. We've read Civil War on Sunday. So you've learned about the Confederate soldiers, the Union soldiers. So in 1861, a war broke out between the North and the South. They were fighting each other over the right to own slaves. So the South thought that they should be able to, the North did not. It became too dangerous for Harriet to guide runaway slaves to the North, but Harriet did not let the war stop her from helping people. No one knew the woods and rivers in the South like Harriet. So she became a spy for the Army of the North, which was called what? What was the North called? I just said Union. The Union Army. So she's a spy. So she's so familiar with the South. She grew up there, so she can be a spy and tell the Union Army where places are to hide, the rivers, things like that. In 1863, Harriet led a Union officer and black soldiers behind enemy lines. They rescued several hundred slaves and learned many of the South's war secrets. So this picture is really dark. I don't know if you can see it, but here they are sneaking down at night, the Union soldiers. You see they have on the blue. Although Harriet helped many people find freedom, she remained poor, but she was proud. She was proud of her people. She knew many slaves fought amazing fear to escape their terrible lives. Harriet was surprised how many people were proud of her, even people from other countries. She received a medal and a letter from the Queen of England to honor all the work that she had done. When she died in 1913, her country showed they were proud of her. Harriet was buried with full military honors. And here she is when she was very old. So that is the end of our book. What I want you to do is I'm going to give you, in your tub this week, you have a copy of this back page here. This is the timeline of Harriet Tubman's life. Between all the books that we have read and this timeline right here, you will know the answers to the questions on your timeline worksheet. So you have a timeline in your tub, and I want you to cut out the events and match them with the date. So this page right here will help you. And also, if you've been listening to the different books that we've read, you'll know a lot of those answers also. So today you will finish your timeline and then send a picture of that to me, or when we talk on Monday, you can show me your timeline, okay? Have a great weekend. Bye.